time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Got a brand new show this week. Welcome to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Tons of great information and really just all kind of craziness going on right now in terms of the real estate world. So do our best this week, just to update you on what's happened in the marketplace, how to really handle your one of your largest assets, and really just kind of dig into what's happening here along the Grand Strand. And so exciting brand new show. One thing we'll talk about, and if you missed last week's show, we'll recap for you, is the market numbers. The brand new market numbers are in the macro market, which is the entire Grand Strand. And interesting to say the least, we had 2 straight months of decline, which is not likely, right? It's not something that we were used to having. And so we'll talk about that. I've been watching the newest numbers and kind of, I think we may have a bounce back this month, but there's definitely some softening going on right now. And it's a little concerning if you're a home seller. We'll talk about that because we're also seeing inventory rise up a little bit at the same time. And so not a huge deal, but I think some of that may be first and second quarter was just super hot this year. But we'll talk about those numbers and look at how we stack up and how you stack up as well. We'll also just get into this thing. It's really pretty cool. Let's talk about fact or fiction in regards to real estate. Some things on the buy side, some things on the sell side. People are really asking right now in terms of questions and what to do and about interest rates. We'll talk about that. Also, we have a thing out if you're considering selling this fall, why this may be a great time to actually sell and why the fall is going to be much better than the winter time based on some data and things that are coming out. We had on the list last week, did not have a chance to get to it, just about how Horry County was one of the fastest growing in the past decade, which is really cool in terms of the state, which is really good. And we'll talk about how we're stacking up against some of the bigger areas like Charleston, Greenville, Columbia, which is great news as well. That's one thing that part of that report was that Horry County is expected to lead the state in price increases. So very cool there. We're definitely seeing some crazy prices, numbers that we're not used to. One thing also, we'll talk about this. Our team is hiring both on the sales team and also on administrative team right now, just because we're so busy. We have so many buyers from across the country, internationally also. We need A players who can help deliver a high level of service to them. And also on our administrative team, we have a closing coordination, also some other administrative opportunities. We have over 200 pending deals right now. So that's a lot that we got to keep up with. And it's really, at a point where we need to add one more team member to our team to help deliver very high service that we're very excited about. So we have some brand new success stories as well. Our team's been absolutely crushing it through the entire process as this summer market's been going on. And I think we put about 26, 27 under contract in the last 7 days. So we'll talk about that and also a few other horror stories for you as well. Take a quick break, come right back, and we'll talk about some market numbers for you.
I'm an active investor. I have bought and sold a lot of properties in hot, cold, moderate markets. And one of the lessons I have learned is this: hire the agent that knows how to create the most demand for your home. Now, if I needed to create demand in this market, no question, there's only one real estate agent I trust if I needed to sell my home. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, he services the entire Myrtle Beach area, attracts hundreds of buyers every week, and sells a home on average every 24 hours. Now, that helps you generate multiple offers and sell your home for the most money possible. Plus, it's like getting an immediate offer on your home, because if your home doesn't sell for the price and the deadline you agree to, you will have it bought for cash, and he offers flexible fees. Find out how much demand your home can command right now. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Myrtle Beach, I would hire Blake Sloan. His international marketing creates so much demand that if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agree to, Blake will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Real quick, one thing we talk about every week is just really the difference in our team, what we do, and really just kind of what the system that we created does. And it's just a promise I made in doing this show, I think over 10 years now. And all the horror stories you see, all the challenges we see, it comes down to a huge mistake that most consumers make. It doesn't really have to do with how many homes they've sold or how many they bought or how affluent they are. It's really the same exact mistake I see, no matter the age, no matter the price range. They make this huge mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same, and it could not be further from the truth, right? Just like any doctor, any lawyer, if you're charged with a crime you did not commit, the absolute last thing I want is a part-time attorney who's only tried a few cases, right? Then why would you ever accept anything less than the best when you're talking about one of your largest assets? And it really matters because when you're selling a property, there's a lot of variables, right? Meaning that things can go wrong or they can go right. Each one of those variable points based on how they're handled. And so first of all, we say, hey, look, what are those variables? And we create a system that's proven and repeatable that manages them proactively. And so there's 118 different variables from A to Z in selling a property. If each one's handled correctly, guess what it does? It puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, AKA they drop the ball, and that could be anything from the quality of the photos, the actual order of the photos. It could be, do they actually market it in other places besides just MLS? Do they answer web leads when they come in? Do they answer a telephone? How they price it, how they negotiate. There's all these variables that matter, and they have to be handled correctly to help you get the most amount of money and get your property sold. Or on the flip side, when you're buying a property, there's 100 plus variables there that the agent determines how they're executed and really what makes or breaks the sale. And so what most agents do is they just do the 3 Ps. One, they promise the world to get the listing from you, right? Tell you anything you want to hear just to get your listing, just to get you to sign that paper. Number 2, they put it to MLS. And then 3, they just pray that someone else brings a buyer. And so meanwhile, they're down the street hunting on the next listing because they're just trying to survive in the business. And I know that because I've grown up in the business. I've seen it happen my entire life. Mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, entire family sold real estate. And I watched it happen since I was a little kid. And also, it was like that when I first got in. I didn't really know what else to do. And so I looked outside of real estate and said, there's got to be a better way, and hire different coaches and mentors and things like that. And so we said, hey, what if we create a system that's proven repeatable, that creates maximum leverage and can actually get our clients some real results every single time? And so that's where we created the guaranteed sold system. It's the only proven system, sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very well. And so it's designed to really stack the dominoes, so to speak, where each point we create a gap. At point 1, we create a gap. Point 2, we create a gap in managing those variables. And at the end, there's a massive gap between us and everyone else. And it gives you, the client, a competitive advantage. And it's things much more than what most agents do, because most agents do one thing where they actually just put it to MLS. And that's one thing we've talked about lately. I think it's important to mention on this week's show too, is that you don't even need me. You don't need an agent. You don't need anybody to help you sell your house. You can sell your house right now yourself. You can put a sign in the yard and you can have somebody drive by and they can make you an offer and sell it today. And that's happened, right? A lot. But that does not mean that you're selling your house for the most amount of money possible. That's the big difference there. And that's where people really don't dig in deep enough to understand the difference there of selling your house and selling your house for the most amount of money, right, in the fastest amount of time. And one of the best analogies I've been able to find out and come up with really has to do with kind of a classic Corvette. Let's say you take a classic Corvette, pristine condition. Let's say it has less than 200 miles on it. Been sitting in garage kept. You could take that classic Corvette, right, have it cleaned up. You can put that classic Corvette in the Walmart parking lot today on Highway 501, have someone buy it, make you a great offer, and get that thing sold for a decent amount of money, right? But that does not mean that you're going to get that classic Corvette sold for the most amount of money possible, because it doesn't mean you found a buyer who's willing to pay a premium for that Corvette, right? The right buyer is going to understand the value of the Corvette. They're going to want that Corvette. They're going to truly want that. But the only way to get that is to get more exposure for your classic Corvette. And so what if you take the same classic Corvette, you put every Corvette enthusiast magazine, every Corvette enthusiast website, every Corvette enthusiast group online? Guess what you do there? You get more exposure, aka more eyeballs, and you get more eyeballs on it, which it increases the chances that you find a buyer who's willing to pay a premium for that classic Corvette. And that's the same exact thing that we do in terms of getting the exposure for your house that you actually need. And so that's where the guaranteed sold system comes in. And so what most agents do, they simply take your house and they put it to the Walmart parking lot. And the Walmart parking lot is the MLS, right? The multiple listing service, which is what most agents do. They take it, put it in MLS, put some cell phone photos on there, maybe or maybe not, get some decent photos, and they let it ride. And so that's where a lot of people don't realize they left $30,000, $40,000 on the table by not finding the right buyer. Just like you see all the time with auctions online, with Barrett Jackson. You watch those on TV, right? You watch these cars will sell for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, some cases millions of dollars, right? That same car is not going to sell for that amount if you just put it in the Walmart parking lot, okay, or your local grocery store parking lot. You have to get the right exposure. And so that's exactly what our guaranteed sold system does. We'll talk about a little bit how we have so many buyers and technology that matches them up with buyers. And so that's a key to our success there. On the flip side, like I mentioned, there's 100 plus variables on the buy side. They're what we call a system. They're called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. Gives you priority access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers. More importantly, though, the absolute best negotiation when you're negotiating the price to get the home, to one, make sure you actually get it in this marketplace. We talked to a buyer this week from someone else. They had made 6 offers on 6 different properties with an agent. They couldn't figure out why they're not getting it, right? It has to do with really how they're being advised and how they're structuring the offer to get the notice they need to make sure they can obviously get that accepted by the seller. And so that really comes down to conversations and strategy. So both those are designed to do one single thing, and they give you, the client, a competitive advantage. The main reason we do this show is so people that listen can understand, like, look, this is a big deal, right? A lot of times there's so many agents in the market. There's actually more real estate agents right now in the market here that work in our local MLS than there are houses or properties for sale on the market. It's actually almost double the amount of realtors than there are properties for sale right now. And so the key is you make sure you have someone who can advise you, who has experience and understands what's happening in the marketplace, but more importantly, has the capital to get you the exposure you need. So if you want to know more about that, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Save my number in your phone, 843-808-SOLD. You can also go to blakesloan.com. We'll take a quick break, and we'll come back with the brand new market number for you guys.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaVox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts. When I moved on, won the award for ACM Song of the Year, it struck a chord with folks who understand the challenges that come with life's big changes. For many, that happens when it comes time to sell their home.
You're about 12 minutes, so you've got
will make selling your home easy.
16 minutes left.
Okay, I'll fill it up, I think, hopefully. All right, thank you.
It's not the same as you did last week, so.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808-SOLD. Start packing.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Got some brand new market numbers in, and they're interesting enough to say the least. They're good still, but we are seeing a change of pattern here. And it's one thing that we predicted would happen about a month, 2 months ago. We started seeing a change in the amount of new properties that were going under contract every 7 days. And that's just something I started tracking when the whole COVID-19 lockdown happened. One, because I was freaking out. I couldn't figure out what was going to happen next, and if I should, keep marketing and do what we do. And what we noticed was the pendings dropped down back then immediately, but they came back fairly quickly, which is good. So there's 2 types of numbers we're going to watch. We've been watching those numbers every single week since early 2020. So what we look at, there's 2 types. Number one are numbers, I'd say, in the rear view mirror. Those are closed deals, which is what most people across country use. And if you see any data in the news, that's usually what it is, right? That's rear view mirror data. But what that means is if it closed last month, it probably went under contract 30 to 60 days prior. And so that's a great judge, but it doesn't tell you what's happening right now. And so we also look at pending deals, which is kind of like what just happened in the last 7 days that we're going to probably see close in the next 30 to 60 days. Those are our front windshield numbers, so to speak. And so really quick, looking at the key ones, we'll talk about. This is like, hey, look, who's closed, what they closed for, and what happened, right? So single family resale homes, which is what majority of people have and what most consumers are buying and selling right now, was actually up 3.7% from the same month last year at 649 home sales. Now, if you look at that on the surface, no big deal, looks pretty good compared to last year. But if you look at the data in detail, it's actually 2 months of straight decline in terms of home sales. And so that's something that's a little bit alarming to watch. We kind of peaked out this year in June at 797 home sales. Then it dropped significantly in July to only 652. Then it dropped again in August at 649. And so if you do that math from the peak, 797 down to 649, looking a little bit over 20% drop in terms of the very, very peak. I'm pretty sure we did the math the other day, but on the fly, long story short, it's pretty significant, right? Well over 100 houses per month difference. You're seeing there And that's one thing that overall makes a big difference in terms of actual slowdown. And so what's that mean? It means there's less buyers looking. It means there's less buyers that closed on properties the last 2 months consecutively, which typically are very big months here on the Grand Strand. Why is that? Because July and August are very big, tourist numbers. People are in town buying. And so our spring to summer market's usually the best. And so to see a sharp decline like that is unusual. But part of that really has to do with our first and second quarter were very, very strong this year, just because of what we've seen in the past. Pretty much, there's a lot of people that were in pain up north, that were in lockdowns. They're frustrated. They're angry about what their governors were doing. So they were coming in town buying earlier than they usually do, right? And so we had huge months back in March and April. Also, May was pretty big. And so that's just something we'll keep watching overall. And we'll talk about some of those other numbers on top of that. Now, what we're also seeing is an increase in inventory. And so inventory is still a super seller's market, meaning very, very, very low. It's down 58.1% from the same time last year. But we're also seeing it come back. So, for example, right now is 1.3 months of inventory, which is still amazingly good for a home seller. But the actual low is all the way down at 0.9 months. And so anything below 6 months means the seller has the advantage. It's called a seller's market. Anything above 6 months is a buyer's market. And really what that means is just a hypothetical equation. If there wasn't a single new property listed, how long would it take at their current run rate to sell all those out? And so right now, it'd be 1.3 months. And so it kind of gives you the pace of what's happening. And that's really what's protecting price right now. If it was usually where it usually is between 3 and 4 months, you would probably see price softening a little bit more significantly. So the great news is price hasn't dropped yet. I do think you may see a little bit of a small bump going forward. We just hit a new record, which is great news. Price is up 20.4% from the same month last year, which is awesome. We just hit a new record here for median price at $325,000. So great news there overall for people there. Also, average sale price hit a new record in average sale price, which is up to $411,863,000, a new record here on the Grand Strand, up 22.6% from the same time last year, which is amazing, right? If you think about that, $200,000 house, you just put $44,000 extra in your pocket in 12 months. And so that's a lot of extra money you're seeing happen there. I mean, never in my life, could I imagine seeing a $400,000+ average sale price? Because you go back to January 2018, I was at $244,000, and the median price was down at $190,000 back in January 2018. So great returns for anybody that's bought. We're finding right now a lot of sellers are just having a lot more equity than they think they do. They go online and say, I can probably get $200,000. We're coming in and say, well, you can probably get $225,000 for that, and it's actually happening. And so just be aware of that. I would definitely not trust any online evaluation tools right now, just because the data they're using is in arrears, right? So it doesn't really understand the true buyer demand, what's happening, how far you can push it. And that's why it's important for you to have an expert who understands the pace of the market and really understand what's going on. So that's something that's very, very powerful to think about as well. One thing that I do think is great news, showings per listing. They bumped back up. That was really buyer traffic. We capped out this year the most buyers being in April, 8.2 showings per listing, and it's dropped a little bit down all the way to 7.2 showings per listing in July. Right now, it's back up to 7.3, which has me think I do think we'll see a little bit of a bump in terms of sales next month, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Why? Also, condo sales. Condo sales doing great overall compared to last year, up 9.7% from the same time last year, which is great. But we're also seeing the same thing there. We're seeing a 2-month decline in terms of condos. So, for example, in June, there's 842 condo sales. And last month, only 678. So significant drop there. A lot has also to do with inventory. Inventory in condos down 79.2% at 1.0 months. It's a new record low in terms of condos. But the great news, price is also being protected. It's up 8.3% at $170,000. Also, average price doing great, up 10.5% at $209,857. So both those are awesome. I do think you may see a little bit of softening price coming up. I also think that you'll see a bounce in terms of numbers next month, potentially. The reason I say it, we've been watching every day how many properties go under contract every 7-day period. If you remember when we started tracking this, it was about 500 to 600. It dropped down immediately when the lockdown happened, about 300, 350. Then it bumped up and it capped out about 800 to 900 properties per 7 days going under contract here on the Grand Strand. And so about a month and a half to 2 months ago, it started dropping pretty significantly. It got all the way into the 500s, and even 1 week 480s, meaning 480 properties in a 7-day period. Right now, we've been climbing back up, which is great. Right now, the last 7 days, 682 properties under contract for $212,075,818. I've been using that guide of about $200 million a week, but I've been watching. Anytime we're below 200 million a week, we're seeing it kind of go down. Anytime we're above 200 million a week going under contract, we're seeing that go up, which is great news. Now, we're also seeing, though, a lot more inventory. And so right now, for example, there's 542 single-family homes on the market in Horry County. Right now, the lowest price is actually in Loris at $110,000. And the most expensive we're seeing right now is in Garden City at $2.45 million in terms of active single-family homes. And so there's a lot of different, price ranges. We're seeing a lot of people coming from out of town right now. We're high in prices, and we'll kind of see that go on. I do think we'll see a small bounce this next month or two. But the one thing to watch is we all know that price is supply and demand based. So meaning that, demand is down. Supply has been up a little bit. You may see softening in price a little bit. We're seeing some properties that we get 5, 6 offers on are now maybe getting only 1 to 2 offers. And so if I'm selling, I definitely want to think about that and take that into account. I don't want to wait to late fourth quarter or early first quarter just based on the buyer, the buyer, I guess you say amount. I want to say buyer fatigue, but the buyers in the marketplace is softening just based on all the data we have. I don't think it's anything major. I do think that a lot of people who would normally buy this time of year or late summer just bought a little bit earlier than usual. But if I'm a home seller thinking about cashing out on the top, definitely want to do that. And definitely if I had investment property, I have a lot of clients right now who had investment property who are tired of dealing with it. They're just, getting over it, or they're wanting to cash out at the top of the market. They're seeing the signs, seeing the numbers, seeing multiple months back to back with declining sales. They're saying, hey, maybe it's time for me to take, some chips off the table here and get what I deserve for this property. And so if that's you, reach out to me. We have a lot of great strategies. We're having a lot of clients right now cash out, use that money to invest in something else, or just take some of those chips off the table to come back in the game if they see any declines. One thing that's helped, keep that going, interest rates. We also saw a slowdown a couple months ago when interest rates jumped back up. They came back down, which is great. Last week's show is 2.93%. Right now, it's up a little bit, 2.95%. Not a big deal. We're still under 3%, which is amazing. A 15-year fixed rate right now, 2.38%. A 30-year FHA loan, 2.62%. A jumbo loan, 3.07%. And a 5-year adjust rate mortgage right now, 2.75%. So what that means is money's still cheap. People are still moving, but there are some signs on the horizon that it is slowing down a little bit. I think that Myrtle Beach is very, very well insulated. I do think maybe seeing some, cap out in terms of affordability and price, or some people just can't afford to live here unless they're bringing money from other areas. We've seen a lot of people relocate from up north who have pensions, and, a lot of them are just having a second home or retiring down here, and it's making it difficult for a lot of first and second time home buyers. So if you're thinking about buying, lock in as prices continue to go up. And if you think about selling, you may want to think about cashing out a little bit here on top of the market, just based on some of the data we're seeing. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back in a minute with some amazing, amazing success stories.
Selling your home doesn't have to be filled with drama or having to pay hidden fees. And your friend Sean Hannity here to tell you, as an active investor,
About 6 minutes.
in working with the smartest local agents who sell homes in high volume, prepare your home to create the most demand.
6 minutes or so?
About 4 minutes or so.
Perfect. All right, cool. Thank you.
While you wait for your home to sell, I want to know what's happening. There's only one agent I call. I'm talking about Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. Now, every single day on average, he sells multiple homes and attracts new homes, which gets you early access to great homes before they hit the market. He has so many buyers, he allows you to establish a deadline and a price acceptable to you. So if that deadline passes and your home is not sold, he will buy your home. And now he'll need to give you the freedom to get out of your contract, but the fact is that's not going to happen. Don't believe the myth. All agents market the same way. So contact the agent I personally trust. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Welcome back to the Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Really quick, we got the hot buyers alert. We always do this, something we're very, very excited about, proud of. Right now there's no secret. There's a shortage of inventory, right? Shortage of homes for sale. And right now, myself, my team are working with a ridiculous amount of home buyers from across the globe. We'll talk about that in a second. Anywhere from 150,000, 3.5 million. If you're thinking about selling or know anyone that you come across, talk to, see that's thinking about selling, call us or have them call us. 843-808-SOLD. It's 843-808. So one thing we do every week that's very, very important is always sharing our active real-time numbers of how many buyers we have every single week. And that's something we've been doing for a long time now. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you've seen it continually grow and grow and grow. And that's one of the most powerful things that we're able to do is share that with clients. Say, look, here's our actual buyers. Here's who we have. Here's where they're from. And right now, as of today, we're at 63,604 active home buyers that are searching my site, our site, not online, not a random site, our site. And they have a username, password, account. So they're logged in, looking at houses continually. And so that's one thing that makes a big difference for us, because here's the deal. A lot of people ask, why should we call you? Why does it matter what you do? Why are you any different than anybody else? And so the main thing is that our business model gives me a huge, huge competitive advantage. We outspend the average agent 100 to 1 from a marketing standpoint. Why is that? The structure of our team. I spend tremendous amounts of money driving traffic from all over. And so we're outspending them. Back to that Walmart parking lot story. Most agents are just by themselves. They can't afford to spend, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars every month driving buyers from across the country, because it's impossible for one single person to follow up with 63,000 buyers. But with our team, we have 20 plus buyers agents all day, every day on the phones that are working with them, and they're hustling to bring them to your listing. And so I have much more efficient follow-up in terms of our team, so we can afford to spend more money for more clients. Like right now, Eric Lindell from Wading River, New York, Tim Hayes from Washington, D.C. I got Scott Callahan from Owings, Maryland. I got Indianapolis, Indiana, North Charleston, Charlotte, North Carolina, Fort Mill, Myrtle Beach, and Milford, New Hampshire. And so the reality is we have the buyers. Anybody out there thinking about selling, have them call us. If you're thinking about selling, you owe it to yourself to at least see it, because anyone we sit down with, it absolutely melts their brain, because they can watch people real time from all over the globe that we already have before you ever start to work with us. So again, save me your phone, 843-808. So we'll get to a really quick success story, about 1 minute left. Don owned a rental condo here in Myrtle Beach and recently decided he no longer wanted to be a landlord while he lived in New Jersey. Don's biggest concern, though, was making sure he got top dollar for the property in order for it to make sense for him to sell. Thankfully, he's referred to us by an amazing radio listener. We share with Don exactly how we can help him get top dollar, design custom marketing plan, launch our Globe Marketing Blitz, professional photos, their virtual reality walkthrough within just days of massive traffic, found a buyer who immediately made Don a full price offer. Now, Don doesn't have to worry about managing the rental property from afar, while he also put maximum equity in his pocket. So if you want to be one of the success stories, save me in your phone, 843-808. So I got how much time? About out of time, right? All right, good. Awesome. We're out of time. So save me your phone. Call us. We'll be here next week, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com anytime.
As a real estate investor, I look for sharp agents who really know their market. Agents who do so much business that they can find me the right investor property and